Hi, I'm Kai Smith, and today I'll be talking about pillowcase homology and character varieties of tangles. So pillowcase homology is a knot homology theory defined by Hedden, Harold, and Kirk, and I'll begin by outlining its construction. Starting with a knot, we first attach something called an earring, which is a meridian of the knot connected by an arc. Next, we find a sphere which intersects the knot in 4 points and use that to decompose the knot into 2 tangles. Note that the common boundary of the 2 tangles is a 4-punctured sphere. Now to each of these spaces, we'll associate a new space called the SU2 character variety. This is the space of representations from the fundamental group into SU2, modded out by conjugation. In particular, we're interested in the traceless character variety, and so we're going to restrict ourselves to representations which take elements of pi1 coming from the meridian of the knot to traceless elements of SU2. So the traceless character variety of the 4-punctured 2-sphere is a space called the pillowcase, which is homeomorphic to the 2-sphere with 4 singular points. And it'll be more convenient if we draw it unfolded like so. Then the character variety of the trivial tangle with an earring is a circle after doing a little bit of perturbation. And to make our diagram easier to read, we'll assume that the character variety of the tangle on the right is simply an arc. And since any representation of a tangle complement can be restricted to its boundary, we get maps from the character varieties of tangles into the pillowcase. So the circle will map in like so, and the arc like this. And it turns out that the pillowcase is actually a symplectic manifold, and these mappings give immersed Lagrangians. So we can define our homology using Lagrangian Floer theory. So to do that, we generate the chain complex with intersections of the 2 Lagrangians, and differentials come from bigons, like so. And so in this example, we have 3 intersections and 1 bigon, and that tells us that the rank of the homology is just 1. So the main motivation for studying pillowcase homology is its relationship with singular instanton homology as defined by Kronheimer and Mrowka. This is a knot homology theory defined using gauge theory, and it's proved to be really important since it was used to show that Kovanov homology detects the unknot. The relationship between these 2 theories is that there's a natural equivalence between their chain groups and a conjectured equivalence between their differentials. Since singular instanton homology is defined by counting PDEs on 3 and 4 manifolds, very few examples have been explicitly calculated. However, the pillowcase homology has been calculated for decompositions of 2-bridge knots, pretzel knots, and torus knots. However, the general character variety of a tangle is still pretty difficult to compute. So the structure of the character variety of a tangle without an earring is an arc and a collection of circles. And you might need to perturb to get this, but that's going to be the general picture. And some of these circles might intersect the arc, as you can see in this picture. And so one of the most basic questions you could ask about the structure of a character variety of a tangle is how many of these circles are there? And so I have a theorem which says that starting with your tangle, you can glue in a trivial tangle to get a 2-component link. Then the number of circles in the traceless character variety is bounded below by an expression coming from the Alexander polynomials of the 2 knots in the link. So looking at our example tangle here, we can get our link like so, and we can see the 2 components are the unknot and the knot 6-1. Then plugging those into the expression in the theorem, we'll get that the character variety of this tangle actually has at least 4 circles in it, unlike just the trivial arc, which we were assuming beforehand. So yeah, I think that's about all I have time for today. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and contact me. Thank you.